many hypocritical kisses. Disgusting. Hypocritical, quote, tender kiss.
Brother Lett
Betrayed Jesus.
Stephen Lett is back, and he's looking a bit different. All his past sins have accumulated around his neck. Or maybe he's just getting old. I'm no doctor, but I'm somewhat of a cult expert myself. And let me tell you, the cult meter is off the charts on this talk you are about to hear. Stephen Lett will not only reign in heaven with Christ, but he will also resurrect your loved ones. Yes, you heard that right, folks. Don't believe me? Just watch. You know what to do with every XJW video? Hit that like button and subscribe so we can keep sending our love to the governing body.
In 4 of his letters, the Apostle Paul encouraged fellow Christians to greet one another with a holy kiss. Similarly, Peter used the expression, greet one another with a kiss of love. Now, why was that encouragement given? Because giving a kiss was a token of affection, honor, or peace. Well, in a similar vein, notice what Jehovah commands us to do. In Psalm 2, please. Go to the 2nd Psalm, and let's read verse 12. Jehovah says, honor, or if you look at the footnote, literally, kiss. Kiss the Son, or God will become indignant, and you will perish from the way. For Jehovah's anger flares up quickly.
I thought God was patient and kind. I mean, the most rational being in the universe couldn't possibly succumb to fits of anger, right? You know who else could be described with this line? Little babies.
You notice Jehovah doesn't present this as an option, does he? He didn't say, I recommend, I suggest you kiss my son. It's actually presented as a decree, a powerful statement indeed, and Jehovah takes it very personal, whether we warmly, affectionately welcome his son or not, see. Those who do not do so, do not kiss the son, warmly welcome him, will perish as a result of Jehovah's anger.
A tyrant doesn't care if you kiss his feet with affection. He just wants you to kiss him. But I appreciate that at least Stephen Lett is letting us know right from the start that this business of kissing the son is not optional, and he's gonna repeat this multiple times just to make sure it's clear. Your life and eternal destiny depend on you bowing down before the king. Except this king is invisible, and he died 2,000 years ago, and there are thousands of different religious sects telling you how to kiss him correctly, each one with their own conflicting interpretation. No pressure here, it's only your eternal destiny on the line.
Or put another way, such ones will meet God.
Which God exactly? I'm down to meet Ganesh, seems like a pretty cool dude.
Now let's talk about this just for a little bit. The Israelites, because they were so disobedient, were warned by Jehovah through Amos, the prophet, at Amos 4:12, get ready to meet your God. Now that expression reminds me when I was a young teenager growing up in the southern part of the United States.
Oh, Stephen Lett grew up in the South. That explains so much. I know half of my audience is from the United States, but for the other beautiful half of my followers, basically the southern United States is like the most religious part of the country. We call it the Bible Belt. And it's not only the most religious part, it's also the area with the highest teen pregnancy rates and consumption of gay porn. Yeah, I'm not joking. You do what you want with that information. It's the perfect birthing place for a religious loony like Stephen Lett. Let's hear Stevie tell us about his life in the South.
Along the highways, we would often see billboards, religious billboards, and a common sign read, "Are you ready to meet God?" And it was supposed to be based on Amos 4:12. Now we asked, and it was explained to us, that the meaning was, are you ready to go to heaven, meet God face to face, and thereafter live in heaven? The word meet was being used with a favorable connotation. But as we indicated, that's not the meaning of Amos 4:12. Not get ready to introduce yourself to God in a friendly way. Far from it. Jehovah, through Amos, was warning those disobedient Israelites they were going to meet God by means of a head-on collision. It was going to be similar to a little ant walking on a train rail, walking south, being met by a locomotive coming north.
You're so full of colorful metaphors, aren't you, Stephen?
That's what the Israelites would experience. And sure enough, as Jehovah warned, some years later, the Israelites met God when they received his adverse judgment when Assyria conquered and devastated them.
Yeah, devastated them sounds like a merciful punishment compared to what the Assyrians actually did to their enemies.
But now here's a question. What "get ready to meet your God" message is being sounded by God's people today? Well, it's true, we sound the good news of the kingdom, but we also sound a warning message, don't we? We warn that all who do not take a stand with Jehovah and walk with him, but continue to walk in opposition, will meet him in a head-on collision. But here's another question. What will happen in the near future, and we've learned during the Great Tribulation, to the tone, the tenor of our "get ready to meet your God" warning message?
So, in case you're new around here, let me explain real quick. Jehovah's Witnesses believe that during the Great Tribulation, which is the event that brings forth Armageddon, the end of the world, they will preach this hailstone message. It's like saying, "Oh, too bad, the doors to salvation have been closed. You're about to die." And this hailstone message will make the United Nations turn against all Jehovah's Witnesses and try to destroy them. Then God gets really mad and intervenes to save his people, and the end comes. Watchtower has been teasing this hailstone message for a few years now. So that's what Let is talking about here. The final message of judgment that will be pronounced by Jehovah's Witnesses. Supposedly. Any day now.
Well, for the answer, let's go to Revelation chapter 16. Revelation chapter 16, and please, let's read verse 21. Then great hailstones, each about the weight of a talent, fell from heaven on the people, and the people blasphemed God because of the plague of hail, for the plague was unusually great. Well, our publications have explained that, of course, right now, we take the soft waters of truth to people, encouraging them to turn to Jehovah. But soon, during the Great Tribulation, the tone, the tenor, will turn hard. It will announce the imminent end of Satan's entire wicked system. The soft waters of truth will congeal to become the hard-hitting hailstones of truth.
Well, if Jehovah's Witnesses want to spread this hailstone message to all the people of the earth, they're gonna have to develop telepathy or something. A huge part of the world has never opened the Bible, let alone heard of a tiny Christian sect such as JW's. Good luck, guys, taking your judgment message to North Korea or the Sentinel Island, or the entirety of Allah's turf.
And this message will be so powerful that, as indicated there in that scripture we read, that the people will blaspheme God. They will be very upset. They will be very disturbed. And it's likened to a great hailstone, with every hailstone, a great hailstorm, I should say, with every hailstone weighing about a talent. Now, the Revelation Climax book said, if the Apostle John had in mind the Greek talent, that would mean each hailstone would weigh about 45 pounds. Some years ago, interestingly, there was a little article or little account in the Watchtower about egg-sized hail falling in China.
China.
And killing 25 people and wounding 200 additional people. Now think about it. If hailstones weighing only ounces could do that, what about 45-pound hailstones? And especially if you factor in how fast they fall. Experts say a large hailstone can fall at speeds faster than 100 miles an hour.
Jesus, Stephen, get to the point. Big hail go broom, kill people soon. All this speculation over a verse from Revelation, a cryptic book which conveniently every Christian sect claims to be able to decipher correctly. You can take literally any modern event and find a verse in Revelation that will sort of vaguely describe it.
And interestingly, not long ago, the Watchtower made the comment that it could well be that our hailstone message that we're commissioned to give will be what induces Gog of Magog to make his all-out attack against Jehovah's people with the intention of wiping them from the earth. And of course, we know the attack of Gog is the event that will enrage Jehovah and move him to bring on the rescue operation of Armageddon.
It's crazy how Jehovah is a God who is quick to anger, but when his people are in danger of being exterminated, he has to wait till the last fucking minute to move his ass. Certified Jehovah moment.
But right now, we're still in the Kiss God's Son invitation time period. We're happy about that, right?
He's just so proud of that line. Look at that smile. I just want to grab those puffy cheeks, you adorable doomsday cult leader.
But don't get too comfortable with that message either. We entreat honest-hearted ones to honor God's Son, to warmly welcome him as earth's new ruler.
Again, this is not a warm invitation. It's more like a siege. And you know what happens in a medieval siege? Either you surrender and become a slave, or you refuse to open the gates and become food for the ravens. It's not an invitation if the consequence of saying no is death, Stephen.
And we do this urgently, don't we? During the time before that hard-hitting, get ready to meet your God time period arrives. But now here's a very important question. Are we motivated to kiss God's Son only because we don't want to experience the adverse consequences of not doing so? No. Our main motivator is love, isn't it?
If by love you mean not wanting to f***ing die, then yeah, love.
We love Jehovah, and we love his dear Son. And
it doesn't feel like it, Stephen. You rarely mention good old JC these days. I kind of forget you're a Christian religion at times.
We long for him to be earth's new ruler. That love is what mainly motivates us to do so, to kiss, welcome God's Son. And of course, we want to help honest-hearted ones as we teach them to likewise kiss God's Son because they are motivated by love. But Jesus is Jehovah's choice, isn't he? Jehovah has selected him, has installed him as king of the kingdom. And he will be the absolute best ruler that humans could ever have. Why? What will make Jesus the very best ruler? Well, one thing, he will have superhuman abilities. And he will demonstrate, he will have these during his 1,000-year reign. It will make him a wonderful, very loving ruler. In fact, let's identify 6 superhuman abilities that Jesus will possess and demonstrate during his wonderful 1,000-year reign. So they woke him up and they said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we're about to perish?" With that, he got up and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Hush, be quiet." And the wind abated, and a great calm set in. But now what does that miracle portend for the future? Well, as Messianic King, Jesus will have the power to command and control the wind, the sea, actually all forces of nature, to mankind's benefit. Under kingdom rule, there will be no destructive tsunamis, hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, earthquakes, etc., etc.
According to Watchtower theology, Jesus has been ruling as king of God's kingdom for more than a century, since 1914. That means he already has full control of the weather. I mean, it would have been nice if Jesus could have prevented that earthquake in Turkey and Syria that killed like 30,000 people. That would have been nice, right? Oh wait, most of those people were Muslims, so they were going to be bird food anyways in Armageddon. And Watchtower used that tragedy for their propaganda, so it all works out in the end with Jesus Christ. Now kiss him.
But now let's identify superhuman ability number 2. And to do this, just think about the account, if you will, in Matthew chapter 14. If you recall, with just 5 loaves of bread, 2 little fish, Jesus fed a crowd likely of over 10,000 people. Well, what do we learn from this miracle? Jesus, as Messianic King, will exercise authority over the organic elements in food and vegetation, ensuring that no one under his rule ever goes hungry. It's estimated right now more than 800 million people go to bed at night hungry. That number will be reduced to 0 under kingdom rule. No one will have to go to bed hungry at night. Psalm 72:16, there will be an abundance of grain on the earth. On the top of the mountains, it will overflow. And it won't be just basics. Isaiah 25:6, Jehovah of armies will make for all the peoples. That means nobody left out.
Yes, Stephen, thank you for explaining the meaning of all. Couldn't have known without you.
For all the peoples, a banquet of rich dishes, a banquet of fine wine, filtered wine. Now, we're not talking about Ripple Thunderbird wine here. We're talking about fine wine, like Jesus made at that wedding feast in Cana.
Again, as current ruler of God's kingdom, Jesus already has the power to feed the entire world 10 times over. Why doesn't he? I guess he can feast well enough in heaven while he watches children starve to death every day. What the hell is he waiting for? Also, if there will be wine in paradise, won't there also be alcoholics too? You can't tell me that paradise will have the best quality wine and not a single person will get completely smashed drinking it, right? Hey, I love a nice drink just like the next guy, but let's be real. Alcohol is the deadliest drug in the history of humanity. You can't have the most powerful drug in the history of humanity and a perfect utopia. There's no way. Saying that you'll be able to enjoy the best wine in paradise is such a human thing to say, isn't it? It's the Christian equivalent of a Muslim saying they'll get a couple of virgin girls once they make it to Jannah, paradise. Silly humans and their afterlife dreams.
But now, let's identify superhuman ability number 3. What do these healing miracles portend for Jesus as Messianic King? Well, he will have the power and the authority to heal all sicknesses and maladies. See, any sickness, any malady he will heal. Under kingdom rule as promised at Isaiah 33:24, no resident, not one, will say, I am sick.
Isaiah 33 was written to the nation of Israel, not your imaginary utopia. You're using a Bible verse that expired like 2.5 millennia ago.
In fact, Jesus will even have the power to put the human aging process into reverse, with one's becoming young physically.
There's absolutely no Bible verse that supports this statement, by the way.
Do you recall this video clip? It was shown at a convention some years ago, and we're not seeing in this portion of this video a fantasy. We're looking at reality. In fact, one brother said, can you imagine getting up in the morning, put your glasses on, you can't see anything. Everything's blurry. You take them off, now you can see beautifully. Not fantasy. We're talking about reality in Jehovah's new world.
Yep, it's a reality, folks, because Stephen Lett says so. It's as real as Joseph Smith receiving a vision from God, and Mohammed splitting the moon in half, and an itinerant apocalyptic preacher turning water into wine. You know how much evidence we have behind these supposed miracles? Zero. If this is reality, Stephen, then I'm Ryan Gosling.
But now let's identify superhuman ability number 4. And to do this, just think, if you will, of the account in Mark chapter 5. If you recall, very sadly, heart-wrenchingly, a little 12-year-old girl had died. But what did Jesus do? The account tells us he took her hand and said, "Little girl, I say to you, get up." That girl who had been dead immediately rose and began walking. Well, what future accomplishment is signified by this miracle? Well, Jesus and his 144,000 associate kings will have the power to completely empty the grave, the common grave of dead mankind, by means of the resurrection. And then, according to Revelation chapter 20, verse 14, the empty grave will be thrown into the symbolic lake of fire. It will be abolished forever, never again to receive another occupant.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You caught that, right? Stephen Lett, this precious bag of flesh and bones, claims to be one of the 144,000 people who will reign with Christ in heaven. They call themselves Christ's brothers. Not in a symbolic sense or anything. Stephen Lett literally believes he will become equal with Christ and also have the power to resurrect people. This man, who can't even resurrect the folds of fat under his neck, will bring billions of people back from the grave. This is the level of lunacy we are dealing with, folks. I mean, the great majority of Christians also believe that they're gonna go to heaven when they die, but most never claim they will gain the power to resurrect people. I'm no longer a Christian, but it still seems blasphemous in a way. Why do we even need Jesus at this point in time if the 144,000 people can do everything he does? Maybe Stephen wants to take the throne for himself and later overthrow Jehovah himself. Who the hell knows? Maybe in the future we won't have to kiss the Son of God. We will simply have to kiss Stephen Lett on his wet, slimy, culty lips.
Hang up that computer call. Come over here and kiss me on my hot mouth. I'm feeling romantical.
Well, let's isolate superhuman ability number 5. So notice Jesus could read hearts there as a perfect human. What about his messianic king? Even more so. He and 144,000 will be able to read hearts, and that means what? They will be able to perfectly judge mankind with absolutely no mistakes. Amazing indeed.
I don't know about you, but I don't want Stephen Lett anywhere near my thoughts. That's really creepy, Stephen. You need to ask for consent first.
Well, let's determine one more, a 6th superhuman, miraculous ability that Jesus will possess and demonstrate. What does this prefigure? Jesus and the 144,000 will have the power to act against Satan and his demons. Because Jesus even granted on the earth his disciples that same authority, didn't he? They were able to expel demons. So they will certainly have the power, even more so, to take action against Satan and his demons.
This is not even a superhuman ability. Christian revivalists claim to have the ability to expel demons all the time. They're even making a movie about it. The irony of the title wasn't lost on me.
At the end of the 1,000-year, or end of the Great Tribulation, I should say first, they will abyss them. Then at the end of the final test, at the end of the 1,000 years, Jesus joined by the secondary seed of Abraham as promised at Genesis 3:15, Jesus will crush the ugliest head in the universe, Satan's head. And he will crush the second ugliest heads in the universe, the heads of the demons.
I thought they would be the heads of the governing body. I mean, there's no hair on them anyways. They look very squashable.
What a tremendous accomplishment in vindication of Jehovah's name and sovereignty that will be. Well, there we have 6 marvelous, miraculous, superhuman abilities that Jesus will possess and exercise during his reign. Human rulers, if we think about it, couldn't even dream to ever possess even one of those superhuman abilities.
You already dream of possessing all 6, Stephen. Are you forgetting you are also a human leader? You goofball.
And if you think about it, the foregoing are only a few examples of the superhuman royal power that Jesus will possess as Messianic King. No wonder he's Jehovah's choice. And no wonder Jehovah has issued the decree that all, not optional, all must kiss, warmly welcome his son. But brothers and sisters, our kiss of Jesus is not hypocritical. From the bottom of our heart, by our conduct, by our words, we warmly welcome Jehovah's choice, don't we?
Every single Jehovah's Witness could be kissing the Son of God out of fear of execution instead out of love, and you wouldn't even know it, Stephen. How can you even love someone that has threatened you with death? Also, fun fact, the 2 times that Stephen Led has mentioned Jesus in this channel, he has used Jesus to threaten his listeners with death. Yeah, the pacifist Son of God being turned into a weapon of compliance. I'm sure Jesus himself would get a kick out of this.
We do this urgently during the limited window of time, during this Kiss God's Son invitation time period, before the it's now too late time period arrives, when ones will be told, get ready to meet your God.
Well, you mentioned a lot of kissing today, Stephen, so put some chapstick on those lips and come kiss my panda ass, you lunatic. There you have it, folks. Clear evidence that Stephen Lett will become equal to Christ once he kicks the bucket. Let me know what you thought of this talk in the comments below. If you haven't seen the other parts of my rebuttal, I invite you to do so. Panda Tower is a channel funded by the community, so if you appreciate my activism and would like to make an offering to the panda gods, you can follow the link below. Also, check me out on Patreon and Instagram. Take it easy, guys, never stop learning, and stay away from the tower.
Bah. Goodbye, little sheep.